In this video, I'm going to show you how to recreate this really simple outdoor shower, and it's made entirely out of EMT conduit that you can get off the shelf at different hardware and home improvement stores. And then the pieces of conduit are connected together with MakerPipe clamps, which are something that we manufacture in upstate South Carolina so that you can build all kinds of custom structures like this. And this is really cool, and you can customize this fully. You can use a handheld rotating pipe and tube cutter to customize the dimensions of this if you have a certain footprint. If you're going to put this next to your garden or inside your garden or outside during home renovations or for camping, you can customize the dimensions really easily. And then the fittings that we manufacture, you can assemble those with just a single 5mm hex wrench. You don't have to do any welding or any drilling, anything like that. So you can build something like this really easily. So let's just kind of break down the design of this, and it's really simple overall. The very bottom is actually made up of 4 of the MakerPipe T-connectors, which are a really common connector that allows you to make 2-dimensional rectangles like this, as we can see. And then there's 2 more T-connectors that essentially just send this vertical pipe up to the very top. And we can see there, going all the way up, same thing on this side as well. But down here, something I'll highlight with the T-connector is the fact that you have 2 sides of the T-connector. The top half allows a through connection, which can run continuously through the T-connector and then sits flush with the T. And the other side actually terminates inside the T and then goes to the other side, terminates there. And that just allows you, you kind of have to do that in order to allow the connector to clamp. Like I said, no drilling or welding, so there has to be a space for the bolt to run through the connector pieces, and that's why that space is there, and that's why that piece of conduit terminates there. But essentially, that's how you do this rectangle on the bottom. And then going up to the very top is those 2 verticals with, and they kind of go inside of another connector, which is the 180-degree connector, which just allows the vertical piece of conduit to, similar to the T, run continuously through it in the middle there, and then sits flush with the top of the frame on both sides. And then there is a piece of conduit coming out of each side of the 180 to send this pipe all the way around, and then is actually bent in a U shape and goes around to the other 180. And that's kind of complicated. You can use a handheld tubing bender to achieve bends like this in your frames. And, with some practice, you can get some really cool frames doing that. But if you didn't want to do that, didn't want to invest in a bender, you could just do the exact same thing that they did on the bottom, but do it at the very top, which is just use 4 T connectors to make this rectangle at the top. You could do the exact same thing and not have to bend those corners. So it kind of just depends on, the investment you want to make, the tools you already have, and how you want to do it. But essentially, once you make that rectangle on top, you then just have to grab onto the rectangle using another MakerPipe T connector, which is going to send this piece of conduit going up at an angle. And it looks like they added another T connector on top of there. And there is a stub coming out of that T, short stub, and then this hose is kind of routed up the vertical piece of conduit. We can see some zip ties holding the hose to the frame, and then there is just a normal hose sprayer on the end, probably set to the shower setting, and that's what they're using to shower. And then you can utilize the tubes in the upper rectangle to add a shower curtain, and then you could use this for camping. I think they were using it in their garden, but all kinds of uses for this, and it's a really simple project. Doesn't use that much conduit or that many connectors, and you can get a really good solution that you can use for all kinds of stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.